If you pay me $100,000, I will do literally anything. Shit, don't
Okay,
clip
all right.
that.
I hope at
Please.
the end of the season it comes down to that. Like do a like a fourth and one, and he's got to dive in the end zone to like get into playoffs, and he just fucking go.
Get ready. Class is about to begin with green white dudes coming at you with some heat. Welcome to School of Hot Takes.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the School of Hot Takes. I'm joined by my co-hosts Mitch and Brian. We're here ready to go with another great episode. Happy Halloween. We're a couple days early, but this will be our Halloween episode with some real treats in there. Fellas, how we doing today?
I am doing fantastic. If you've noticed, I no longer have my beard, so starting fresh, getting some fresh takes out there. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah, you can see that I also shaved my beard before the taping of this episode. So I'm ready, clean slate to get into some football.
Just curious, how much money would it take? What are we talking to get rid of that? What are we talking?
I've thought about this. I think realistically, 2 grand.
Whoa.
Okay.
Like
No, that's
realistically,
fair.
$2,000.
That's fair.
I think that's like the right amount of money that gets me, like, it pays for my rent, pays for like my car payment, gets me some food, maybe a nice pair of shoes. Um,
Mhm.
and anything less, it's like, I like it too much to really to get rid of it. So I think 2 grand's low as I'll go.
And you
Interesting.
get that, like, it comes back. It comes back. Like, he's
Yeah,
getting 2 grand and it comes back.
right. Like, I'm not going to be some guy out here that's like, oh, I'm not shaving my beard for $100,000. Like, okay, if you pay me $100,000, I will do literally anything. Shit, don't
Okay,
clip
all
that.
right.
Please, don't clip that.
Now we got evidence now. Uh, yeah, let's get into our spooky take. This will be me giving my spookiest take of the week this week uh, to
Could
go
you
along with our.
define? Could you define what spooky even means in this
Yes, I
in
will.
this scenario? Okay.
Uh, in the, I guess in my head, I'm thinking of it as so for my hot take kind of to go with this week or my spookiest take, I'm going to go with it as a potential scary outcome if these
Mm,
things happen. Yeah, so I'm going to go with that.
wow. Very
Um,
festive.
Okay.
thank you. So my spooky take to start off would be the Cowboys. I think they're going to have a top five pick. So that's after watching them yesterday, I'm not I'm not at all sold on them. I think obviously they have a lot of injuries, but they're so like one dimensional. And if CD goes down, they are really in trouble.
Mm,
They knew exactly what they needed to do to win the game. It was run the ball, and they had the two most washed up running backs in the league. That they have a great name, but they suck. They're so terrible. So I think this could go good because they're gonna have a top five pick, and I think a really fun player to see on their team would be Ashton Genty. Then that would make them
mm.
immediately scary. So that's where I'm going to go with this. I
100%
think that
agree.
they are, yeah, I think they're going to be a bottom five pick, and they're going to take Old Genty, and it'll be really fun to see him on that team. I think it would immediately make them, if he has the production that he does, even remotely. I would think that would make them once again a pretty scary team in the NFC.
Okay, but let's say I'm just throwing a hypothetical here. Say they finish at like, 5. Um, is Jonty not gonna be taken by any of those other 4 teams?
No.
You
So
don't
that was
think so?
my other question here was, first of all, Dylan, have you come around on Ashton Genty? Do you like him as a prospect now? If you're projecting him to be a first
Um,
rounder, and then second of
I
all, five, like top five pick, and then to get Genty in the top five is kind of crazy when there's so much talent there at 1 through 5.
Yeah, I'm going to go off of more so one, this being multiple scouts have said this is a pretty weak draft. And I think with the all the hype around him, very similar to a lot of other highlight reel running backs that we've seen, regardless of what I think of them. and what I think he's going to do. I think the hype will be so much around him, and if he doesn't get Heisman, he's going to probably be second. So I think just that hype around him, and I think most of those other teams probably won't take a running back. That's pretty risky. But much like the Cowboys did with like Zeke, or the Giants did with Saquon, they're going to take a big hit on it, a big swing. And what's his face? Jerry Jones has a real big boner for guys he takes in the draft, takes big pride on. I think he's going to have a lot of heat because their offense is so non-electric that he's going to try to make a big swing, and I think that's their biggest swing they could probably do. If he continues to have the production. I'm still not 100% sold on him, but I think the hype around him will be pretty wild at that point.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about Jonty. I think he's going to make a pretty big impact in the NFL if he goes to the right team. I don't know that the Cowboys would be, the best offensive scheme for him. Just, based on how they're looking now, I don't know that their offensive line would be able to support him. But, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad look. Like you said, Jerry Jones wants to make flashy moves and, make a statement. And what bigger statement than one of the most popular running backs in college right now? So.
Yeah. I don't really have much else to say. I've been watching some Genty tape just because I feel like he's the guy everyone's talking about and has been like really messing up the projections. And I think I'm a little bit lower on him than I was initially. I don't know if he's a first round talent. I think he's one of those players. He's like I'm crazy comparison. My comparison for him is going to be Tavon Austin, who is like just a human highlight reel, but we saw him against stacked boxes and he looked like a regular running back. So I think that's going to be kind of the thing, is like transitioning from playing in the offense that he's playing in and playing the teams that he's playing, transitioning to the NFL. I think he'll be fine. He'll like make a team and probably be a starter even, but I don't know if we're going to see him put up like 300 yards and 6 touchdowns or something like that in games like he's doing right now. No. He also, the comparison he gets a lot, which I also agree with, is like Jay Ajayi is a little bit of his comp. Jay Ajayi, also an amazing college running back, great contact balance, very physical runner, but quick on his feet. Unfortunately, it just seems like those players don't always translate to the NFL well, for one reason or another. And maybe it's just because those stacked boxes where you're like, okay, he's coming in, we know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to have a power run. He's going to do a zone, weak side shit. Like he's going to take contact, initiate contact, and try and bounce off of it. And unfortunately, you cannot bounce off of contact in the NFL. If you get hit, you're getting hit. You're probably going down. So I've been watching a little bit of him, trying to like come up with a solid opinion on him. I'm not 100% sure where I'd put him yet. I do think he'll get drafted in the first round if he continues with this, just because it's like inevitable. But again, so did Tavon Austin. Tavon Austin famously has like one of the best college highlight tapes of all time. And, I don't know if he translated to the NFL. So that's my current take on Genty. I think the Cowboys are a good pick for him. I have this really bad feeling that he's going to go to the Chiefs. I just have a really bad feeling about it, man. I think
let's not that into existence, please.
I just have this weird feeling that with the 32nd overall pick, they're going to go with Genty. I just have this weird feeling about it. So, that of course hints at what I'm going to talk about later. But I think Chiefs take him first round is my kind of prediction here.
I think his floor is Rashad Penny. That's his floor, so he gets in. A high electric player that just couldn't get it figured out, couldn't stay healthy, whatever it is. I think his ceiling, he actually reminds me very much so with his build. He's like the exact same height, weight, and I even think a little bit of run style as Kenneth Walker. He's 5'9", he's 220 pounds. He runs very similar, honestly, to him, with a little bit of finesse, but also that power. So I think that could be his ceiling if he really pans out, but I'm more so probably in the middle. But I think that's his ceiling. Floor probably more so Rashad Penny. And also on Tavon Austin, I think he would do way better if it was today's NFL that he was in rather than the old NFL that he came in. He would be. Can you imagine him with like Mike McDaniels or like Sean McVay now? Like, oh my God, he would be so fun.
Right. Yeah. I
Mhm.
also I really like that comparison to Rashad Penny. I think that what are the odds that he's not Rashad Penny? I think it's probably closer that he is Rashad Penny, which is like, holy shit. Rashad Penny was averaging 7 yards a touch for his first 3 years. The reason
Mhm.
nobody really knows his name is that for those 3 years, he played like a combined 4 games or some shit
Yeah.
because he was getting hurt every time he touched the field. So, yeah, I think that actually is a pretty solid take on Genty right now. But it's a long season. If he wins Heisman, it's kind of over. He's going to get taken way too high.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Before we move on anywhere else, I would like to remind everyone watching to please subscribe, like our videos, look out for our other content. We have a TikTok that we get after it on. We have other YouTube shorts, things like that we're doing. So please make sure to keep up with that. Turn your notifications on for us. Yeah, and other than that, let's get rolling. Let's get into our Week 8 recap. Mitch, would you like to start us off with just some things that you saw from Week 8?
Yeah, the game that I mostly watched was the Eagles-Bengals game. I will say I think Sirianni saved his job for the remainder of the season. I think even if they drop a few more games, I don't think he's in like fear of getting fired right now. It might happen like off season, but I don't see it happening anytime during the season. Unfortunately, I think the Eagles would probably benefit a little bit better from getting rid of him in the long term. But what can you do? I mean, you're a 5-2 team. Can't fire a coach after getting 5 wins. So even though they looked bad those 2 weeks, still tough to say negative things when he's getting wins. But yeah, the Bengals just looked bad overall. They didn't really do too much impressive, like nothing really impressive. I mean, they were just out there playing football, I guess. Um, Nothing
I'd
great.
fucking
Like,
hope so.
well, I
I'd
mean,
fucking hope so.
they weren't playing like as a power team or making
I think a bit,
any moves or like the Eagles kind of had their way with them all day basically. Like the Bengals fielded a team, and that's about as far as they went.
yeah, I think a lack of run game. They have like no run game, and then their pitiful fucking defense plays
Yeah.
a big role into that, big time role.
Yeah.
Mitch, I gotta say, I somehow knew that of all the games to watch on Sunday, you would pick the worst possible game to have
That was
watched.
that was the one that was regionally locked for me. So I was like, screw it.
Yeah.
Why not?
I was gonna say, my take is that was the best week of football I think that I've watched
Mhm.
in maybe 3 weeks. Um, just almost every game except for the Bengals and Eagles in that 1 o'clock window was absolutely fire. You had multiple games come down to the wire. The other big blowout was the Lions Titans game,
Mhm.
and at least that game was like really super entertaining because the Lions just are absolutely fucking nutty.
Right.
And Tennessee is interesting enough. Like they're a fun team to watch, even though they suck, just because they do like weird things that are like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like Mason Rudolph, like all of a sudden becoming a rushing quarterback is like,
I saw.
okay, fuck it, why not? Like it's just so weird. Um, I do want to hit on a couple of these games real quick.
Mhm.
We're not going to talk about the Jets. Fuck the Jets. I do want to hit on the Commanders and Bears. All right, I do want to talk about the Commanders and Bears real quick, if that's okay with y'all.
Hey, good with me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not really going to talk about that Hail Mary because I feel like everyone has already talked about that Hail Mary. It was an
Right.
awesome play. It's a play that probably shouldn't have happened. The Bears kind of fucked it up more than the Commanders did it. But I do want to talk about the fact that this was hyped up to be the game of the week, and it was maybe the worst game that I watched. Jaden Daniels should not have been in this game. I think he was playing super, super hurt. And I think the reason they put him in is I think the Commanders coaching staff and front office wanted to kind of pull their dick out and say we made the better pick. And yeah, I think they wanted to say, hey, look at how good Jaden Daniels is, and they wanted him to outplay Caleb, which to be fair, he did, but I think it was a really dumb decision to put him in because he looked like rough, man. He looked rough.
Right.
At least compared to how he always has been. You know, they scored 4 field goals in 4 quarters. Just really rough stuff. And then on top of that, you had Caleb Williams also not doing great up until that last drive, 10 for 24. I think a little bit less than 200 passing yards. Just a rough outing. 130. Yeah, just a rough outing for the 2 top picks in this last draft. And I think the statement that I am ready to make is that this Commanders team this season is going to be one of those one-hit wonder seasons. I think this is a season that for the Commanders fans, I think they're never going to forget this season. This season has been absolutely bananas. You had the Hail Mary. You have Jaden Daniels kind of step up and immediately become a star. He's hitting all these crazy plays. But I think this season, or not this season, sorry, this game is kind of showing me what I expected from Jaden Daniels, where it's like, do we think that he's going to be able to stay healthy? Do we think that he's going to be able to perform at a high level for his entire career if he's already like we've seen how bad he looks this week when he's hurt, and that was a big concern coming out of the draft. And it seems like the coaching staff didn't really take that into consideration, and it seems like Jaden Daniels also didn't really say, "Hey, I need to protect myself more." He was like, "I play how I play." So I think this is one of those things where I am more concerned after this win, and nobody is going to be talking about it because of the fucking Hail Mary, which again could not have happened because Tariq Stevenson was arguing with a fan or something in the end zone. So, you know, it's really unfortunate that the conversation is not. If they had lost, if the Hail Mary had not been completed, I think the conversation would have been Jaden Daniels should not have played, and that is concerning. So sorry.
Oh, good. You're fine. I was going to say, I think you could probably compare this with the Packers from last year to this year. I mean, the Packers last year had a great season, went on a playoff run, and I think the Commanders are on pace to do that as well. But I think next year, the Commanders are still going to have a pretty solid team, but not be, you know, as flashy and like get sort of ugly wins next year. Like the Packers, I mean, are still 6-2 this year. They're a good team, but yeah, they're not like dominating like they sort of did last year. So
I think that's a decent comparison. I would kind of compare it also a little bit to like some of the other really good rookie seasons we've had, like Mac Jones, and Baker Mayfield. Kind of weird guys to talk about, but I think it kind of highlights my point a little bit, where these are guys who came in and had amazing rookie seasons and were never able to replicate that with their home team.
right.
And for at least Baker Mayfield, part of the problem was that he was getting banged up and was not really like the coaching staff and him were not really being careful with their health or the football. And I could see a situation where all of the success that the Commanders have had is going to their heads just a little bit. And the downside to being a team like this that I still think is so far away from a Super Bowl, at least on the defensive side of the ball, I think they're really far away from being like a Chiefs type of team.
Right.
Is that if you're doing really good, you are going to play yourself out of a good draft pick. And playing yourself out of a good draft pick could be a problem for a team that has so many holes that they're going to need to fill. And I think they have a lot of good pieces. I think obviously Jaden Daniels, Scary Terry, the offensive line is pretty good right now. So, you know, maybe I'm overreacting to one bad game, but I think the concerns that we had about Jaden Daniels are starting to show up already in its week 8 of his first season. So,
I think it's still a long road though. I mean, it might be too early to be like jumping to conclusions about like even next season. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Obviously, I'm just, you know, it's a hot take. It's a hot take podcast. That's what we do here. And I feel like I, you know, some of the reasons holy fuck. the big reason I want to do a podcast like this is I want to talk about the shit that nobody else is talking about,
Exactly.
and I feel like that is something that nobody else is talking. Welcome back from our ad break. We're sponsored by Wingstop and Marconi's Auto
Coors Light.
in Lock Haven, Pennsylvania. Don't look that up.
Right.
Okay. I don't even know if Marconi's Auto is still running. Sorry, I'm just fucking around now. Okay, but one of the reasons that I wanted to do a podcast like this is to talk about the things that nobody else talks about. And I think looking at the negative side of a win like this is important because in sports media, everyone has a goldfish brain where last week is the only week that matters. It's the most important week. If you win, you're good. If you lose, you're bad. And nobody really takes time to think critically about things like this. And I think that was a game that I watched and I was just disappointed with everybody on the field. Again, it's a really bad day when the best player on the field is probably DeAndre Swift. It's just rough stuff out there, but a lot of really awesome games. And of course, we've spent most of the time talking about the two worst ones of the day, which are Bengals, Eagles, and Commanders and Bears. But I think there are important things to talk about with those teams. And I'll also say to Mitch, fuck Nick Sirianni. I hope he gets fired anyway.
Yeah, I do too. I'm not a fan of him, but like I said, I don't know that they'll do it during the season at this point.
Yeah. Dylan, what's a game that
Yeah.
you watched that you want to talk about?
Well, like Mitch said, I did see because I also was, I'm locally very close to Mitch, so I was stuck watching a little bit of that fucking Stain game. But this morning I wanted to look up. I was really curious about the Falcons Bucks game. I'm actually kind of really impressed with how. Like I didn't get to watch this one, but it seems like the Bucks still held their own pretty good, even with all the injuries last week. I was a little bit worried that they would just kind of fall apart, especially after the injuries last week to their two biggest receivers. But it looks like they kind of pulled through, and now the Falcons did end up winning the game. But I have no opinion on the Falcons. I feel like 1 week they're really good, 1 week they're terrible.
Yeah.
And I have no idea. But Baker was Baker. He's gonna. I think Baker is the next Jameis Winston. I think he really
At
is.
this
Like
point,
it
yes.
seems like. Yeah, it's either like 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, or 2 picks, 2 touchdowns. Like every time he's gonna just fucking sling it, and it's fun to watch. And they had a bunch of guys step up.
They also have him throwing like 40 to 50 times a game. Like it's
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 50 attempts, but he went
Throwing way
37 to
too much.
50.
Right. I mean, it's
Only-
not like bad stats by any standards, but like
Yeah.
he's just throwing like 2-3 times every
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, I
like,
mean he had guys step up though. Like I mean, Kate Otten stepped up, did really well. Their WR like fucking 5. Raheem Jarrett he had a really nice game. Let's go,
hey,
Raheem.
I will say Rashad White got a touchdown. Plus,
Yeah. Okay. Raheem Jarrett, University of Maryland legend.
Okay.
So
okay.
I am familiar with his game a little bit. I'm happy that he's on a team making plays.
Yeah.
Their receiving core, as someone who kind of watched this one live via Red Zone a little bit and got to see some of the touchdowns and stuff, the receiving core is actually pretty good. Like Jalen McMillan looks good. Trey Palmer looks really good. Kate Otten, like you said, looks really good. It's kind of crazy to think about how they lost two, all pro receivers. And that wasn't even the reason they lost the game, really. Like they kind of lost the game because Kirk Cousins has out of body experiences sometimes and he just throws touchdowns like it's nobody's business. So yeah, it's that's an interesting game. And I think, again, looking forward, looking a little bit past just this season, I think the Bucks are setting themselves up to be a really solid team in the future too. They're able to draft young talent so well. And then it's like you don't hear about them, and then they have to come in and play, and they do really well. I think the Bucks are a little bit underrated.
Yeah, no, I also wanted to touch quick on the Cardinals. I haven't done this yet, but I'm pretty convinced that they might be the easiest team or the most fun team to like at halftime to just bet them to win because they're always losing. They're always losing, I think this is like 4 times now that they just come back and won a game, and, like, usually their odds I know aren't usually great, but if you just bet
Mhm.
them every game and a half that they're losing to come back and win, you probably would have made a decent amount of money because they just keep doing this shit. Like, I don't know. I have no real
Yeah.
take on the Cardinals. I feel like they could be good. Same Kyler Murray. I guess they're kind of like the Falcons, where like 1 week they're great, and then 1 week they're like, oh, they just didn't even show up. And now Call of Duty coming out, like Kyler Murray's basically.
Okay.
I really thought he was going to be washed. I really did. He's my fantasy quarterback, and I benched him for fucking Tua, and Tua did terrible. So I guess that's on me.
Oh man.
But
I was gonna
yeah,
ask, how did Tua look in this game coming back? I didn't see any of it, so
I'm not great.
he did they it was a
He's
situation
fine.
where first drive he looked absolutely immaculate. It was a 10-play drive. You know, every play was very intentional. They would just bang, 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 bang. Scored an easy touchdown. Raheem Mostert had a 1-yard touchdown on that drive. It was just it
mm,
looked super methodical. It's like, okay, this is what you want from Tua. You want him to like pick you apart with these like dink and dunks and to set up the run game really well.
right.
And then after that, he went pretty cold. I think he's fine. Like he's obviously an improvement because the Dolphins' offense is like watchable and is decent now. But
Right.
it's just not the same as it was before he got hurt. And my favorite play of this game was when Tua took off and ran,
Yeah.
and you could feel the announcers kind of pause, and the players were like, okay. Like I felt like the entire universe was like, holy shit, dude. I was yelling in my living room. I was like, Tua, no, Tua.
Oh my
It's
god.
it's funny because I was also like talking to my girlfriend and I was telling her like we might watch a man die today if Tua Tagovailoa gets hit the wrong way. And then I feel like second quarter maybe it was like early in the game he takes off on this run. I'm like, Tua, bro. um, but what's like, are we gonna have to watch Tua like every week and be like, don't like don't do that? Like, is
I
this gonna
think
be the future of the Dolphins?
I think at least for the
I
time being, it will be like. I mean, later on in the season, if they haven't had any issues, but I mean, like for the next game or two, I definitely think anytime he rushes or like gets sacked or gets pressured or anything, people are going to be like on the edge of their seats, like, oh my god, do I want to look? Like, what's going to happen? Like,
Yeah,
I hope.
because I was
I hope
totally
at the end of the season it comes down to that. Like Tua like a fourth and one, and he's got to dive in the end zone to like get into playoffs, and he just fucking go. Can you imagine
my
though? Like he's
God.
just gonna have to do it. He would do it too.
Imagine
He's going to do it.
imagine the Dolphins lining up for like a tush push in the AFC Championship.
And he just doesn't come out of the pile. He's just under there.
He's fucking
All right,
deceased.
Tua. All right, Tua. Come on, bud.
My God,
Tua, you
that
might
would
die,
drive
but
me
we
so
need
mad.
you here. Come on, boy.
Jesus Christ.
Well, do you think on the defensive side, like the guys coming at him now are like, dude, I don't want to be the one to kill this guy. Like,
Well,
I really don't
okay,
want to be that guy.
so that is a really interesting take because they interviewed Damar Hamlin after because he was the one that Tua fucking bulldozed and like
Yeah.
fucked up his head. And Damar was like, yeah, that was like I instantly was heartbroken. Like I was like in shock. I can't believe that happened. I felt so bad. I did everything I could to stop it. And the problem is like it's not the conversation. And I heard one person talk about this. I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was like an article or something. But like um the one thing that nobody talks about with this Tua situation is not only is it not fair to him because obviously it's not a good idea to have him out there playing like this if he could die like literally, but it's also not fair to the defenders because how are they supposed to treat him like on that run play? I'm not kidding. It looked like they were like, do we hit him or do we like touch him down? Like they didn't know what to do. And luckily he slid. And I think
Yeah.
Tua maybe is a little bit aware of the fact that he has to be doing that or someone is going to do it because it's just like you don't want them to have to think about, oh shit, do I hit him? Like he could die if I hit him. Like he has a better chance of dying than anybody else on any given football field in the NFL right now. So it's just
And I
not
I think it's
fair to the defenders to have to think about that, you know?
I think it's kind of comparable when it wasn't this past week or yesterday, but I think last week when Pat Mahomes did that like fake run out of bounds and then got like an extra so many yards. I heard some people talking about it. Like as defenders, like you're told not to, slam them out of bounds or you're going to get penalized. Like, how do you go about doing that while also trying to like protect the player as
Right.
like Tua this situation? Like, where's that like fine line? And like, we obviously know Tua is like a flight risk to get injured. So like, where do you draw the line actually hitting him? Like,
Right.
I think for the Pat Mahomes thing, I think you set it early in the game and you just pop the motherfucker. Like first quarter, you let him know. Like you let him know, we'll take this 15 yards now, but like if you do this shit again, we're gonna we're gonna knock your block off, dude. Like, but in the Tua situation, I'm thinking he uses this to his advantage now, and he just runs like head down, like just runs like this. It's like no one's gonna want to hurt him. If like think about it, he's running to the first down, and then the guy's going down, and he puts his head down. Every guy's gonna be like, shit, it's Tua.
It's Tua.
Strategy,
It's
dude.
Tua.
Yeah, it's Tua. You can't do that.
Yeah, I'd love to know what the pregame meetings are about Tua. Like, all right,
Mhm.
guys, you can't kill him.
I think
Yeah.
I'm sure
Make a
there
wish,
is.
kid.
I'm sure it's not like talks between coaches and players, but I'm sure like some of the safeties or linebackers and everything are like obviously make the football play, but don't go out there like trying to actively kill the guy like
Right.
compared to
Depends.
like some other healthy quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like
If Vontez
Yeah.
Burfict was still in the league, it's over.
I was
Right.
gonna say Vontez Burfict has the chance to do the funniest thing ever. Wait, is there
Oh,
someone
God.
after a CTE? Let me see what I can do. My
Yeah,
God.
he would. Does anyone want to end to his career? I'll do it. I'll do it.
I'll volunteer. Don't worry.
My
Yeah.
God.
All right.
It's oh man, I would not be surprised if the Jets were like, hey, we could
Season
end
on the
this guy's
line.
career. We could end this career.
Go to the playoffs or kill Tua. We're gonna have to kill Tua.
Let's kill Tua. We're gonna kill Tua. Jesus Christ. It's Aaron
I think the
Rodgers in a
Jets,
dark
they're
room.
that low. Jets are in the huddle. Aaron's like, guys, listen, if it comes down to it, get in the playoffs. We need this. Kill him.
Yeah.
You got to kill him.
My God. They just signed some
That's terrible.
scrub.
I will say
Yeah.
one other game. Did you guys watch the Sunday night game at all? The Niners.
Yeah, I watched until half.
Yeah, I was gonna say I watched the first quarter and the last quarter, and I felt like I got everything I needed to know from those two
Right.
quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like an impressive game at all, even though it was like somewhat high scoring. Like it was just bad football from both sides, I think. It was just kind of gross. Like I watched it and I was like, ugh, this was supposed to be like a good primetime game and it should have been like a flexed 1 o'clock game. Like
Yeah, I'm sorry. I cannot hate Dak Prescott for the life of me, dude. I think it's so funny. I think he's a funny quarterback to watch. The fact that the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb had like the best receiver performance maybe all season. Maybe Jamar Chase that 1 week had a better performance, but like CeeDee Lamb, 13 catches for over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns.
146. Damn.
146.
I didn't see that.
Just
Also,
like one of the best games all season.
I'm a little surprised, I guess, that Zeke had the most rushing for the team. I mean, granted, it was 34 yards, but like I didn't think they haven't been utilizing him as like their main back, have they?
So their
They had
first
to.
2 running backs are injured right now. Rico
Right.
Dowdle's
out.
But
He's out.
and Deuce Vaughn were both out. So Zeke and Dalvin Cook were like 1 and 2.
yeah,
Get washed up 1 and 2.
But anyway, I thought it was really funny that like CeeDee Lamb, absolutely like insane performance, and then they get the ball back. They have a chance to win the game, and Dak Prescott throws 4 straight balls to the defense. I think that is absolutely fucking hilarious, dude. Who told him he should do that? Like, if there is a quarterback that is like Brett Favre-esque, where it's just like, I'm fucking slinging it, I don't give a shit. It's Dak Prescott right now, man, and it's so fun to watch. Even when he loses and it's ugly, it's like, dude, this is entertaining as hell. I want them to put Zeke back in at center and just throw it to CeeDee Lamb 25 times. I don't give a fuck, dude. It's so much fun.
Okay, one thing
Yeah,
I do want to get your opinions on though, related to the 49ers is obviously they're 4-4. Is their issue mainly defense this year or is it like mainly offensive? Because I mean, last night they had I think most of their offensive weapons. It's not like
Yeah.
they were like
You're not going to like
hurting
the
on
answer to this
offense,
one,
but
Mitch.
like I
yeah,
understand
you're
I'm probably
really
not
not.
going to,
You're not going to like
but
the
I
answer to
mean,
this one.
I don't think it's all on Brock Purdy though, like you guys are probably gonna say.
I think a big portion of it is now that he doesn't have the fucking superstar team. Yeah, he's not the quarterback. He can't shoulder a load. Like he's just not that quarterback. He needs a really good team around him. Probably similar to Dak Prescott. Honestly, like they need good
Yeah.
teams around him. Like
But
he's just not that good.
defensively, I mean, are they
They're
missing
fine
people that I
defensively.
don't know about? Like, I feel like they've
I
been
mean,
letting up a lot of points
yeah,
this
their
year
star
last
what's his
year.
face safety, their star safety did he come back this week or is he still out?
Hafunga?
Is he back?
I don't
I think he's
know.
still out.
I didn't see him out there, but they have almost everybody else. Like they have Lenore, they
Yeah.
have Ward, they have Bosa and Warner, and they have most of their like ultimate team. Like they have the best players that they
Yeah.
need.
He's still out.
Yeah, I just feel like
it's
the 49ers this year have been letting up a lot more points than like we saw last year. So I didn't know if it was like an issue defensively this year, why they're like a 500 record right now. So
no. I mean,
Well, their offense can't score, so the defense is on the field
yeah,
a ton. It's
yeah.
a lot.
yeah.
They're playing way more than they used to. They're just
Right.
not
And
dominant. Like it's just
the loss of Christian McCaffrey is still hurting them as well. Like
Mhm.
Jordan Mason has been good, and then Jordan Mason got hurt, I think, immediately last night. So,
Yeah.
to not have a good run game when that is Kyle Shanahan's bread and butter, like he wins games through the run game. That's how he's always been, and I think the fact that you have to rely on Purdy to be out there and sling it to George Kittle and a bunch of second stringers, I think is kind of a tough ask to
Yeah.
make. So, yeah, I think it is really, really tied to the offense right now. And unfortunately, Purdy is returning to earth. He's kind of somewhere in that, 8 to 15 range right now in terms of quarterback ranking and touchdowns and pass yards. Like he's returning to earth and, rightfully so. Again, you take away his WR1, you take his RB1, and he starts to look more like Purdy, like Brock Purdy.
yeah.
So, yeah, it is scary for them. I would not pick them to win the NFC right now.
Oh yeah, no, that I really don't think they're going to do that. If they make the playoff, that great. I mean, they might. McCaffrey might be back, but I don't think that's enough. I see
Well,
no chance in hell they come back to the Super Bowl. Not a fucking
Mhm.
chance.
no, I don't think so at this point. But at the same time, this division is still wide open. I mean, you got 3 teams at 4-4, and then the Rams are 3-4. Like
I'd take the Rams over them.
anyone,
I would take the Rams over them in a heartbeat. No questions asked. Seattle depends.
Yeah.
Until yesterday, I thought Seattle was a lot better until yesterday.
I think if Seattle gets DK back and Geno is healthy, like I think if they're healthy, I think Seattle is the best team in that division right now. Healthy. I don't know. I think Geno Smith is the best quarterback in that division right now, and it's crazy to say that because it's Kyler Murray is there and Matt Stafford is there and Brock Purdy is there, but it's true. Geno Smith is playing lights out when he's in. Yeah,
I think I think it's a crime if we don't shout out the fucking Cleveland Browns for beating the Ravens. Fucking
True.
let's go.
I'm proud of it.
I mean,
it was a fun game.
I picked this on Monday. I picked the spread was like fucking 8.5 for the Browns. That's stupid. It's a rivalry game in the NFC North. That was the easiest pick of all time. With having Jameis in there, like that was definitely going to cover. That was such an easy bet. Let's go Browns.
Yeah. Well, let's not say let's go Browns, but let's
Dude,
say
Let's go
Deshaun, without
Browns when they're
Deshaun.
playing division rivals.
Yeah, well, without Deshaun, like they're a fun team to like. Without Deshaun, they're cool. I like most of the guys. They're a cool team. They're fun. They're fine. I like
Yeah.
the Ravens too. Let's go. I like the Ravens. They're
I
fine.
will say I saw a stat earlier today. Since Deshaun has been with the Browns, they've had like 7 games with other starting quarterbacks. Or no, 8 games with other starting quarterbacks. 7 of those 8 games have been wins, and the quarterback has thrown for over 300 yards. And I don't think Deshaun has done that once yet.
Yeah, no, I saw that stat too, and it's interesting because it's like, so what to make that stat even crazier is in the last 2 seasons there's been 7 300-yard games.
Mhm.
The rest of the NFL doesn't have 7 300-yard games like combined in that time span. Like no other quarterback has that many 300-yard games, and those 300-yard games are coming from Jameis Winston and Joe Flacco.
Right.
And it's just absolutely insane. Deshaun Watson is a fucking cancer in this league and needs to be disposed of immediately.
I can only hope.
I'm kind of curious to see what they can do now. I mean, if Jameis plays like that, like I can see them going on a little bit of a run here, which would be kind of fun to see. I mean, it's not great for the Steelers, but since he's probably done. But I mean, it just now it looks like what everyone projected, like the NFC or the AFC North, to be like that once again, like a really good,
Mhm.
like a really good overall 4-team league there. So it's good.
Mhm.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Do we want to transition? And Dylan, do you want to transition us to our locks and upsets?
Yes. Let's go
Okay.
into our locks and upsets. This is our segment where we pick each one team that we think is a guaranteed fucking lock for the week, and also a matchup that we think will be an upset. We should really start going into our records for these. We're going to start keeping track of those because I want to keep everyone accountable here. How bad
Yeah.
Brian is.
Are you keeping track of that?
No, but I need to go back and start doing it because I
Okay.
want to keep us all motherfucking accountable here.
Okay.
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 I,
I got.
I
Alright,
will say I
alright.
think Brian is the worst one of us so far.
Yes,
Okay. I
yes.
gotta.
He's very
apparently-
far behind.
Okay.
He's
Apparently,
very
I got to
far
put
behind.
more thought into this than I was putting
Nope.
into it before.
Dude,
If
don't
we're
worry,
gonna
I don't
start
at all.
keeping track of it, because I like I
I
said,
look up NFL schedules every time we do. I just look up NFL schedule, and when it's my turn, I just fucking pick a game.
yeah, I usually pick them day of, and I don't really put a whole lot of thought into it. I just kind of look at it and go, okay, this is what I think. And like I told you guys in the group chat, the take leaves my brain as soon as I say it. I'm like, all right, I have this take, and it's gone, dude.
Right.
Okay, well, Brian, then why don't you go
You-
and start us off?
I guess I'll start with my lock of the week. My lock of the week, I am going to be taking the Seattle Seahawks over the Rams. Everything I just said is, I think, exactly what we need to be talking about. The Seattle Seahawks. I think they're one of the best teams in the NFC right now. Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, when they're healthy, are an amazing duo. I think the Rams kind of outcoached the Vikings last week. I know we didn't get to talk about that game at all, but they kind of outcoached them. I just think the Seahawks are a little bit better of a squad than the Rams, and I think they kind of come back down to earth. It's also a home game. I think that's important to mention as well. And then my upset of the week, I hope I don't get burnt on this one, but I feel really, really confident that the Carolina Panthers will upset the New Orleans Saints. I'm sure that is not as crazy of a take as it might have been 3 or 4 weeks ago. But Bryce Young looked surprisingly good last week. Week 8. Sorry, not last week because it was literally yesterday. But Bryce Young looked good in week 8. The Panthers overall looked pretty good. Leggett looked really good. And the Saints are looking worse and worse every single week. I think if Spencer Rattler is the starter, you could borderline put this as a lock that the Panthers win this game. I think Rattler just looks really rough, man. He can't handle pressure at all. Ironically, looks a little bit like Bryce Young from last year with that pressure. Just has to roll out and throw these crazy balls that are wildly inaccurate. And again, Panthers are home. So I think this is a situation where Bryce Young has another start under his belt. He looked a lot better than he has ever this week. I think they get it rolling, and they beat the Saints at home, and the Saints fired Dennis Allen as a little extra hot take there.
Ooh, okay.
Dennis Allen was talked about this week as like, we're not worried. We're not worried. I think that's the ultimate like week before you get fired quote of like you're on a 5-game losing streak. Your starting quarterback is hurt. Your backup quarterback sucks. You just signed Alvin Kamara because I'm sure Alvin Kamara wanted a trade and you had to convince him to stay for another year. Just it's bad vibes there in New Orleans. It feels like Carolina is going to smoke them, and then Dennis Allen is going to get fired on the bus back, and it's going to be an awkward car ride. So those are my upsets and locks. Let me know how I do. I guess.
I
All right, I
actually
will.
don't
You know,
hate
I'm gonna
that.
keep track.
I actually don't
Okay.
hate that Panthers Saints game. I feel bad for anyone who's going to be watching that game because it's probably just going to be like bad overall football. But
Yeah.
I don't hate the take.
Yeah, and shout out Alvin Kamara gets free beer for life. It was part of his deal, so shout out Alvin Kamara.
Are you serious?
Is that
Yeah,
a
that was
thing?
part of it. Yeah, the local
Dude.
brewery there, they did that. Yeah, they said we will give you free beer for life if you stay, and he said, "All right, bet."
Okay.
And he
Oh my
has,
God,
yeah,
that's even better.
yeah. I forgot what the company is. It's a local company, but yeah, he gets free beer for life.
That's
Dude,
awesome.
I feel like nobody has this take. I feel like Alvin Kamara he went to his GM and he was like, I'm gonna request a trade if you don't pay me. And they paid him. I swear to God. Because it makes no sense. He had
Why did
2
he stay
years.
there?
He had a year left on his deal. Like he had this year and all of next year. Why would they extend him 2 more years and give him like 25 more million guaranteed? It just makes
Right.
absolutely no sense unless he was like, I am going to leave. This team fucking sucks.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. It was right in the middle too. It was just like middle of the season. They were like, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna Alvin Kamara's
Yeah.
extended."
Yeah.
Right.
All these trades are happening. All these receivers are like looking to get out. And then all of a sudden Kamara gets a deal. It's like, all right, man.
What's
That's
happening?
weird.
Mitch, would you like to go, sir?
Sure, I will go. I will talk about my upset first. I think the Buccaneers are going to upset the Chiefs Monday Night Football in Kansas City. I just
Mhm.
feel the Chiefs. I mean, they are 7-0, and I never bet against Pat Mahomes, but um, Pat just has not been playing great this year. I don't think the Chiefs overall look, you know, amazing. They're like juggernauts. I mean, yeah, 7-0, but they're not doing great things. They're not winning by a bunch. They're not blowing out teams. I think Pat is just having an off year, and I think Baker with him lead. What is he, second in the league for passing yards and first overall for passing touchdowns? I mean, Pat Holmes only has 8 touchdowns and 9 interceptions this year, which isn't great by any standards.
Let's go,
Um,
Pat.
the Buccaneers defense has looked competent this year, where they could probably give Mahomes some issues. Um, so going with a bit of a risky take there. I think the Bucks will go in Monday Night Football and beat the Chiefs. And
Yeah.
then for my lock, I am actually going to have the uh, Browns over the Chargers.
Mm.
I think
Okay.
Jameis is just a fun player to watch. I think the Browns are going to ride off that high of last or week eight's victory, and another home game for them. I could see them just coming out and having fun, playing a great game of football again. I don't think they're that big of underdogs if they are, but I think the Browns are just gonna come in, not maybe dominate the Chargers, but get the win that they're hoping for.
Yeah. I
Okay.
feel like you
Okay.
pick the Chiefs to lose every week, Mitch. I'm not going to lie.
I don't think I
It
picked
was
them yet,
me.
actually.
I feel
I
like,
did that last week. I did that
uh,
last week.
okay. Maybe I was thinking of
Um,
somebody else because I was like, damn,
which
the Chiefs.
yeah. I don't like it this week though, only because like the Chiefs have a stupid good defense. That is one thing. That's why they won all these games. And that one thing that has been like kind of Baker's kryptonite is when it's a really good defense where they're like pressuring him a lot, and the corners can like still one-on-one man cover whoever his receivers are at this point. He still will throw it, but that's the game where he has
Mhm.
2 touchdowns
Mhm.
and 4 picks, and he's still gonna fucking keep throwing it.
Yeah,
Um, which is cool to watch. I guess it's fun, but like
I kind of hope
I thought about it.
I kind of hope this game is sort of like a shootout though, where both teams just go off offensively and like their defenses are just you know there.
Yeah. The Chiefs
That
defense
would be
is
a fun Monday night game to watch. Like that would
the
be enjoyable.
The Chiefs' defense is way too good. I fear for that. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've been watching them, but there's a reason they're 7-0 and Pat Mahomes looks bad. Like you put it together. It's that defense is absolutely legendary right now. I think Monday night they have an extra day of rest. They have an extra day of planning. It's home. It's going to be a tough game, but hey, it's a hot take podcast for a reason, man. You got to put those out there.
I like it. All right, I'll head up the rear here. I'll head up the rear. I'm gonna go with my upset first. I think the Giants are gonna upset the Commanders. I just think with that kind of emotional win, Jaden Daniels probably isn't going to be any better. I mean, he played through some. I don't know if they really ever said it, some kind of rib injury, so I assume it's probably not much better, if at all. We haven't got to see Drew Lock start yet. That's later tonight, but I assume Drew Lock's going to be better than fucking Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones is terrible. I think with a little bit of preparation, he's only going to get better. We did get to watch him as a starter for a while there, and he wasn't great, but I think he can do better than Daniel Jones. That's going to be my upset. Let's go Giants. Just kidding. I don't really want them to win, but I would like to be right, so that'd be cool. And then I think the Vikings get back on track. I think this is a nice way for them to end that 2-game losing streak and just beat the fucking piss out of the Colts. Anthony Richardson can't even play a full game apparently without taking a rest.
Man.
I'm not sure what's up with that guy. We were all so hyped about him at the beginning of this year, and I feel so stupid because he bamboozled me. He's got me. He's terrible. I'm not sure what the hell he's doing. He either makes the coolest play or the worst play, and there's no in between. There's no like just steady with that guy. I look for the Vikings. That defense, I think, is just going to pick him apart, and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, I think the fix for Richardson is pretty easy. I think you got to get him on the bench, man. You got to let him sit for a little bit.
Yeah. Joe Flacco.
Yeah, put Flacco in. Like
now
next
Dill,
year.
If Flacco comes in, do the Vikings still win that game?
Yes, but I think it's a little bit closer. I don't think the Vikings are going to lose 3 in a row. Like they had 2 tight ass games where they could have won, and I think they're ready to kind of get back on track. And I don't think the Colts defense is really that good. I don't know if they have anyone really to stop Justin Jefferson. Hopefully they'll let Jordan Addison get back on track too. He hasn't really done much, and I'm not sure. Last year he was really kind of, I think, coming into his own, and then this year it's just like Sam Darnold will throw literally to only Justin Jefferson. Also, TJ Hawkinson is coming back, and that makes me really excited. He's finally back. So that adds just another dimension to that offense, another layer for teams to try to stop. So, I look for the Colts to get smacked around a little bit.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good lock. I like that lock. I'd probably have them. They for sure are going to win that game. I feel pretty good about that too.
Okay.
That's going to be
all right.
That's a rough Sunday night game.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just
that's not.
That's going to be a rough one too.
I don't think too many people are going to be like, I can't wait to watch the Colts Vikings. Oh God. Do you think the NFL would honestly do better with flexing? Like, if they can see this kind of stuff coming, like in advance, like just flex that shit.
They put it there for a reason. Like, what did they put it there for? I'd love to know what they put it there for. I have no idea why. You know,
the hype, I guess. Anthony Richardson, right?
Maybe because they did the same thing. What was the Giants had a Sunday night game too recently? It's like, what were you doing?
Yeah.
What it was true. Giants Bengals, which is like absolutely garbage time. Football. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, I'm not watching that. Sorry, I'm gonna watch the highlights probably the next morning. There's no way I'm staying up till 11:30 to watch fucking Anthony Richardson throw 9 for 30. Like, there's just no way.
But for like 250 yards for some reason.
For 250 yards, and Alec Pierce has 400 of those yards somehow. I don't know. I mean, Jesus Christ.
All right. Hey, before we go, anyone have any? Would anyone like to pick on the game tonight? The Steelers. We're doing this before the night game tonight. So, anyone have any prediction for the Steelers Giants? A little score prediction here before we head out.
Steelers 20 to Giants 2012.
2012 Steelers. Okay, Brian.
Yeah, I'd probably say Steelers. What? Maybe Steelers 31, Giants 17. Um, I need Devin Singletary to score less than 16 points to win in fantasy, so I'm sure he's going to score 17 points in fantasy this week. So hopefully you guys are starting Devin Singletary. I just have a weird feeling he puts up 2 touchdowns or something ridiculous just to fucking spite me.
I'll go 35-21. Also Steelers. And the last time everyone that we talked to all picked Steelers, they got fucking waxed. So I'm not feeling great about that. But yeah, I just need George Pickens to score 37 points for me to win. So I need all points to go to George fucking Pickens.
It's fucking doable. It's doable, dude.
It is, dude. It's so doable with that guy. Like he could go off, and now apparently I got to fucking root for Russell Wilson, which doesn't make me that excited. But he looked good. All right, that'll do it for another episode, gentlemen. This has been great. This has been real. This has been amazing. Brian, would you like to sign us off?
Yeah. Class dismissed.